the corner of 6th and Medicine.
Oh, I remember it well. Yeah. Yeah.
And today that would be the corner of the Illinois Museum.
Isn't that interesting? That's where the
Museum.
new Presidential
Right.
Museum is. Yeah.
Yes. And in 1994, the new bread line. Then
Sister, if you would, come around with me here again. And what's fascinating is this book, if you would hold that, of course you have the gloves and it's a very old book and we have to treat it with great care.
This is a textbook that the nursing students, the sisters, the nursing students used for their nursing care. And this came to be printed in 1896, and this particular publication is 1899. But it gives you a little bit of a flavor of the very, very simple nursing that was done in those days. The sisters had this book, or actually created this book, because they were not satisfied with the German version of the nursing textbook. Mark, I'll just read one of these sections to you.
And you being a nurse, you find this really amusing, don't you?
I find it very, very simple. Nothing is taken for granted by these women. They're working around the time of Florence Nightingale. They're just beginning to really be paying attention to cleanliness. This is a section labeled Taking the Temperature. What is the normal temperature of the human body? The normal temperature is 98 and 4/10 degrees. How is the temperature taken if the patient is awake and conscious? Then it is safest to put the thermometer in the mouth. How is the thermometer placed in the mouth? It is placed in the mouth beneath the tongue, the lips closed for 3 to 5 minutes. In what case should the thermometer never be placed in the mouth? It should never be placed in the mouth if the patient is not awake or if he is irresponsible, for then there is danger that he may break the thermometer by biting it, and this would cause immediate danger of life. And on for another set of questions and answers.
Well, they don't take anything for granted here.
No,
Everything's
sure
explained in full, isn't it? It's amazing. You know, I wish we had more time. You also have documents that show from 1912 that it was $10 a week to stay in the hospital, and if you got medicine, it was about $1.25, and paid in full, $11.25 for a week stay in the hospital.
That's right.
It's a fascinating story, and I think the relationship between the sisters and the new museum is also a fascinating and a really good relationship, isn't it?
Yes. I think for me the very poignant fact is that the sisters responded to whatever the needs were in healthcare at the time. And even if Mary Todd didn't need a lot of immediate nursing attention, what she really needed was simply someone to be there. This is the healing presence that we are very conscious of in our own lives. It's the person of the nurse, as well as any of the care that she does, that is important. Sister Frances knew that, and we would hope that that's the tradition we carry on in our own nursing practice and in those of all of our employees in the hospital system.
Thank you, Sister.
You're welcome, Mark.
Sister Maureen O'Connor, a replica of this window behind us is what the sisters will be giving to the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum. And what's interesting about this is, and what makes it historically significant, is that it tells a story of the Hospital Sisters of St. Francis as they entered the United States.
Yes,
isn't that something? Start us off with it.
Okay. If you look at the bottom panel here, it shows the sisters as they got to Alton, following a journey, and Bishop Baltus is pointing to the Capitol, telling them that Springfield will be their home. And the panel that's directly above there, Father Levy is meeting two of the sisters as they arrive on the train from Alton to Springfield. And in the lower panel on the right is Bishop Baltus and Father Levy giving a key to two of the sisters to the Jacob Lewis home, which they had purchased, and that was the first mother house. And actually quite close to the Presidential Library, just a few blocks away where that was located. And the top panel shows a sister caring for a patient, obviously in his home, and he's in bed. And behind, through the window, you see another sister with a family member, and the family member is paying the sister with some produce, which is how originally the sisters were paid. It was more like by barter.
Which she will then take probably and share with other patients.
She will share probably with other patients, and it may also have been what the sisters themselves had to eat.
And the Lincoln significance here is these medallions.
Yes, and the medallion on the left shows Abraham Lincoln, and it's the log cabin to the White House, and the flag behind him. And the other one, of course, is Lincoln's tomb, his resting place in Springfield. So that's really what ties the gift, the sisters and Lincoln together there.
These came in 1935.
Yes, they did.
And they've been here since then.
Right.
And now you are having replicas of this made for the museum.
Yes.
Isn't that great?
Yes, we think so.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Steve Brooks, I had no idea what goes into the making of a stained glass window, and we just saw the original one. You're commissioned to make a replica. In order to do that, you and your wife, Monica, had to trace the windows. Is that the way you do it?
Yes, correct. We had to get the originals here in the studio and put them up on this light easel, and then lay tracing paper over the front of them. And then Monica traced all the details out with a marker so that we could supply that information to the painter so that he would have something to go by as far as the scale and the detail of the original pieces that were going to be duplicated. And then we also used these photographs. We took about 200 photographs while the panels were in the studio so that he would have those to work with as well for the detail of the painting.
So you send these photographs and the cut glass. You then cut the glass from the tracings.
Yes, we do the patterning and we cut all the glass.
Send them to the painter, and he paints them. He hopefully gets the appropriate color.
Right.
And the shades. I guess that's a real piece of work, isn't it?
Yes.
That's an art all in itself, isn't it, to try to get the shades right?
Yeah, that's why we send all the color pictures, but still that's not like having the original thing to work from when you're doing a replica of something else that exists.
Right. Then you get the pieces back, and it's like a big puzzle that you have to put together.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, we lay the pieces out on the cartoon or the pattern that's been drawn, and then we start in it. Usually you start in the corner and work your way out, and then you put the pieces out on the pattern and start building it. And then when you get to certain points, you cut the lead. Sometimes you don't have to cut it on an angle, sometimes you do. And then you just use these glazing nails to hold the pieces into place so that they don't move around while you're trying to solder. And then you use flux so that the solder will adhere to the lead well.
Boy, that just melts real quick, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And every joint is put together, soldered, the lead to lead. How many in a window this size? How many joints do you think you make like that? Hundreds.
Yeah, some of them are hundreds.
Wow.
Because you got to do both sides. After this side's done, the panel has to be slid off the table and turned around and laid back down to solder the other side.
Wow. Now you recently completed the windows, the replica windows, and you've got those standing over here, and we can get a look at what they're going to look like because we have light coming through the top half of them. How do they look to you?
I'm happy with the outcome. Brian from the Hospital Sisters was out and looked at some of the pieces when they were still in the puzzle stage, and he was real happy with the way they looked also.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for the demonstration. It's very, very educational.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sister Paulette Collings, you've agreed to give us a little treat here today while we're here taping this story by showing us some of the Adoration Chapel here at the Mother House. This is a gem, isn't it?
It is a gem, a treasure that not many people are aware of, actually.
I think you're right. I think you're right. This chapel was built for a specific purpose, wasn't it?
This chapel was built as a prayer house for the sisters to pray before the Blessed Sacrament exposed day and night originally.
Mm-hmm. And that's called in the Catholic Church perpetual adoration.
It's called perpetual adoration because it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm. And if you look up above the altar, you'll see the throne where the Blessed Sacrament is exposed.
Right.
And that's what Catholics, when that is exposed, Catholics believe that someone has to be praying at all times.
We
right?
do. We have at least one person praying at all times before the Blessed Sacrament when it's exposed.
That throne is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
I'll bet you've said more than a few prayers in here, haven't you?
Yes, day and night. And I continue because it's very necessary. And many people from the outside who we don't know send a request here for the sisters to pray for them.
Mm-hmm. And if we look above there, we'll see that we can't see all 4 evangelists, but we see 2 of the evangelists on the way up to the dome there.
We have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the 4 evangelists that wrote the Gospels that we live by. That's our rule, in a sense. That's the Gospel.
And above the Blessed Sacrament there, you have the angels.
We have the angels with incense and trumpets, and they're praising and honoring God. Jesus exposed in the Blessed Sacrament.
As we stand here, there are several people in here taking the opportunity to pray.
That's right.
And I hope we haven't disturbed them too much.
No, they were well aware that we were going to be doing this, and the sisters are praying. They pray either for 1 hour or a half hour at a time, and then they change. So different ones.
What a beautiful atmosphere, very prayerful.
It's very prayerful because it's very quiet, it's very peaceful. It lends itself for a prayerful atmosphere. Many people like to come here to pray, those that are aware of it.
Sister, thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
The gift-giving ceremony, which observes the connection between the hospital sisters and the Lincolns, takes place on July 15th. With another Illinois story near Riverton, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
For a copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 for VHS or $24.95 for DVD to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and the date the program aired. You may also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.